All right, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 24th of January, 2024, and this is the APIServer Network Proxy office hours meeting. APIServer Network Proxy is a subproject of Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their meeting guidance, which basically means please treat everyone as you would expect to be treated, or explicitly so, please be kind to each other. And also, please raise your hand if you'd like to talk, and I will call on you. So looks like we have one item on the agenda today from Joseph. So Joseph, please take it away.
Joseph present.
Can you hear me, Joseph?
Yes. It says I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
And we can't hear you either.
That's going to make it difficult. I guess we could go into these topics, but I'm not sure, like,
Yeah, why don't we go into 559 and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe the audio will start to work or something. I guess, do you want to talk about this, Walter, then, or does anybody have context on this?
I'm
I guess this is just turning off the GitHub workflow.
Yeah, I think one of us just needs to review this. So yeah, I mean, I think can you hear us now, Joseph? Awesome. Do you want to speak to 559?
Yeah, the problem was on my end. I'm fully connected now. Yeah, there's maybe a week or two back, Antonio in networking added a GitHub action to exercise to spin up. It's the first GitHub action in this repo, and there was a long time where they didn't seem to be enabled, and his intention was to spin up a small kind cluster and exercise connectivity and regression test IPv4, IPv6, and dual mode networking. We allowed the PR to merge despite never getting the actions fully enabled because he wanted to like find a stopping point. And we knew that we discussed that we could disable it if it became a problem. Well, lo and behold, it became enabled and the EDE build is broken. So we need to kind of either fix it or disable it. I sent this PR out last night just to kind of disable all the broken bits and get us working. But there is also another PR that's an effort to fix it. So it looked promising, the effort to fix it, but it's not. I just saw a message this morning that the effort to fix it is not ready to merge yet. So I do think that given the context, it makes sense to allow my PR, which disables it, and then we'll expect him to hopefully follow up fairly soon and get it fully working again. Or Antonio might want to, now that he can test it. Now that he's got a dev test cycle.
And this is just removing coverage that we have been missing for a long time anyway, right? So
exactly.
It is nothing. This is not a net loss as of 2 weeks ago.
No, we never had this actually functioning and enabled. Exactly.
So I'm just leaving a note on the PR there, just pinging Antonio. Is that, I mean, like, I don't think there's anything here for him to do, but just so he knows kind of what's going on.
Yeah, that's good too.
I'm also just okay with I mean, I agree with doing this, but I'm also just okay with approving this.
Yeah, I think we can CC him on both this PR and the fix it forward PR.
Okay, are we cool? Like, I'll just approve it now then if we're cool. Sounds good. All right, and then the other PR that you were linking up here.
Yeah, I'm not very experienced with vendoring, and I wanted two things from this meeting. One, does anybody see anything, any downside to doing this? And number two, does the way I did it look correct? I know we have a replace directive. There are 2 Go mods in this repo. So there's like maybe some subtleties, and I'm pretty new to vendoring, so I just kind of followed what I could find elsewhere, but just looking for like an experienced set of eyes.
Yeah, I mean, like we do a lot of vendoring in the code that we do at Red Hat, and so I can give a review later maybe and see if it's set up the right way and everything. This is kind of I think it's a divisive topic in some places. Like like for Red Hat, the way we consume these things, we always vendor and add the vendor to our code repository before we create release artifacts. So like, we have like a durable record of like what actually went in there. But I've seen some other projects, especially in the upstream, that have very large vendor or they're very large code bases, and some of those projects have chosen not to include the vendor directory just to reduce the size of like the code repo and the checkout and everything. It's kind of dependent on the project ownership, but I mean, in general, I'm in favor of including the vendor folder with the code. I don't know if anybody
One
else has
question.
anything. Yeah. Go ahead.
What's the thought process of enabling vendor now? Like,
What's the process of enabling it?
what's the thought process behind having vendoring now rather than?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, like Joseph, do you want to speak to kind of intentions?
The intentions were to vendor upstream, just to avoid Google vendoring internally. But we could vendor internally as an alternative.
I think maybe the question, if I reinterpret Imran's question a little bit, and I think Elmiko actually touched on this, but I think the idea here is that if we don't vendor, then the bits that are built have a hazy understanding of what's actually being pulled in. So, it becomes, we pulled in the proto libraries, we pulled in.
That might have been Walter's update taking place.
I lost connection a minute ago and reconnected, and now we lost Walter.
Well, he warned that his laptop was going to force a restart. So it sounds like we hit that. But I mean, so Imran, one reason to do the vendoring now, and again, this goes into like kind of like from Red Hat's perspective, why we like to do the vendoring, is so that we know like kind of like the supply chain kind of side of things. Like you can see all the code is here with it, and we don't have to do an extra step of like going out to the repositories where the packages are and pulling them later then. And this can affect if there are like if there are dependencies that would have to be brought in at like that aren't specified at a version level or something like that. You could end up pulling in something that is a version that you're not expecting or whatever. So from our perspective, we like to do this to help build up information around the supply chain, and then also keep all the dependencies next to the code when you're making it, since Go is kind of like set up that way.
Right.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the context, Mika.
How many replaces are there in the Go mode? The only concern that I could have at some point is if there are many replaces at that file, it will get a bit difficult to continue the let's say the transitive dependencies that in a long view with the project. So in our project HyperSig, for example, we are eliminating or removing all the replaces from the Go mode. This way, we will keep more upstream way, making the changes in upstream and inheriting the changes directly from the code. And yeah, the only thing that the only caveat I could think of is maybe the replaces on the Go mode.
Yeah, there's just one replace, and it's the builds in question are for proxy server and proxy agent, and the replace is for the connectivity client, local directory, which is also a module. That's a pure client library that APIServer takes a dependency on. So that's the only replace.
I think that makes sense for me at least.
Okay, so you didn't make any changes to the Go mod file. You just added the vendoring, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I made sure that one commit is pure automation, the big one, and then the small
Yeah.
commit is the human edits.
Yeah, that's cool.
I thought about whether to be strict with Go test like I did with Go build, or yeah. So that's somebody with more experience or idiom exposure could chime in.
Could you say that again, Joseph?
Oh, in like a make file or like some Docker files, can't remember where, I added -mod equals vendor to force Go build to depend on local vendor instead of perhaps accidentally breaking, but we're not aware that it's broken.
Right.
I didn't do the same for Go test in a few places, but the presence of vendor means that Go test should pick it up. So it seems like not a big deal, but we could be strict in both just for consistency.
Yeah,
Just
I
a
mean, I think
little-
it's kind of like opinion at that point, kind of stylistic, right? Like
Yep.
we could, I think the default behavior is vendor when it sees like the vendor folder and everything. So
Right.
yeah.
So I'm just looking for like a style preference opinion since I have none.
Anyone else have thoughts?
We usually do this Go flags mod vendor into the test also. This is what we use on our project, so maybe it helps.
I believe we don't have to make changes to the make file, right? Like the go with -mod equals vendor, because that's the default.
We shouldn't. Yeah, I think vendoring is the default, but also what Juan's saying, if we just do Go flags once, that'll define it for the entire build, basically, or for everything that happens in the make file.
Okay. I think I have one comment in the chat link. I posted it in the chat. If the vendor folder is present, then you don't have to explicitly use -mod equals vendor.
Yeah,
Okay.
that includes when you are updating the dependencies, because another caveat that I can think of, it's eventually we will need to update the dependencies on our Go mod and vendor, and then maybe we can do that with dependabot or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to try and copy some of this, Imran, into the comment here, but it's I have a problem for some reason copying from the chat and pasting into here. I don't know why.
In that link, you can just search for -mod equals vendor. There's only one search.
Okay. This one is not quite as urgent as the unblock the E2E broken. So it's okay if I'm happy to wait a day or two for comments to come in with little tweaks like that. I'm happy to take feedback. But yeah, we've probably exhausted this PR topic. If there's any other agenda.
I don't think there is, unless folks want to talk over the GA requirements draft again. But I'm not sure we have any kind of movement there.
Yeah, I don't have any movement to report.
Yeah, Walter, we thought that it was your reboot.
Did that? I got half. I only got partway through, but did that issue get resolved? Are we happy with the vendoring?
Yeah, we added some comments there, and I think there's no rush on the vendoring, so Joseph's going to take a few days to kind of collect thoughts and whatnot from people there for kind of some style changes to how we might make it easier, and then, you know, fix it up. So yeah, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Just, you know, since Joseph, you weren't here when we started, Juan has joined us. He is also a Red Hatter, and I'm excited to have another person who's kind of working on this project from Red Hat here. So it might mean that my presence here will be less and less over time, but hopefully, you know, Juan will be a great representative, and you guys will have a lot of fun like building stuff here.
Well, we'll definitely miss you if we see less of you, El Miko. But welcome, Juan. It's great to have you on board.
Thank you so much.
And I will mention, you know, none of this for none of us so far. This been a primary job in a while, which is sort of unfortunate because there's some really interesting problems to be solved in this space. So if you do have time, let us know, because there really are some really neat problems to solve. And I think you could have a lot of fun on this project.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, awesome. I guess if nobody has any other topics, we can take, you know, 10 minutes of our day back here.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank
Take
you, folks.
care.
Bye.